One Walks with Four. The One Walks with Four glyph story is one that I treasure because of its personal nature. It also offers a superior insight into how they work with me and others through glyphs and the telepathic nature of this work. On a brisk overcast day in the fall of 2019, I was out for a hike in a favorite campground that had been closed to campers for some weeks. I frequent this area for a myriad of reasons: exercise, fellowship with the locals, and interest in what said locals have been up to top the list. As I ambled along, I caught sight of what appeared to be some rocks placed on top of one of the campsite's picnic tables. I approached it, and within moments of taking measure, I received a strong telepathic thought and instantly knew the rock glyph's meaning. The four-word "One Walks with Four" energy transmission was clear and precise. The message itself was referring to my connection and spiritual walk with my forest family. Although the meaning came instantly, as is often the case with personal ones, I began to unravel some subtle and not so subtle nuances over the course of the next few moments leading into the next day. Laid out before my eyes were three distinctive rock arrangements. The first featured a single rock, which signified me. Placed directly above it was a larger single rock, and that was in the undeniable shape of one of my forest friend's feet. Above that was a cluster of four rocks, representing Ari, Rajase, Forshna, and Littlebud, the four local clan members I am most closely connected to. Even without the benefit of thought placement, the One Walks with Four message was obvious. To reiterate, when rocks are included in a glyph, they often represent clan members, as was the case here. The size of the rocks can also be indicative of that member's size or age. At the risk of stating the obvious, the foot rock in the middle represented my walk with the four forest people who lovingly guide me on an ongoing basis. Within moments, a more defined understanding took shape. Each series of rocks were placed in one of the three sections that made up the top of the picnic table. Three sections, or in this case, three levels: myself as I am now, my walk with them, and where that walk is taking me. For the record, I am not a fan of the word levels because it supports separation in many oral applications. If someone was to tell you, "You're not on my level," you would most likely feel a number of negative thoughts and emotions. Inadequacy, jealousy, fear, and anger could be among the many felt. In truth, no one is above or ahead of another. We are all on the same road, and have been or will be where the one we perceive as ahead or behind is now. Knowing that is key to everything. We are all on a spiritual, often rocky road back home. Everyone's journey is a reason for celebration, especially if that journey's lessons are digested and the ones that do not serve our higher self are discarded along the way. Living my life in a higher vibrational state of unconditional love and knowing is without question the chief reason for this journey. I am by no means there yet, but being aware is half the battle, and I am moving forward as best I can. The goal is for mankind as a whole to shift into this higher state, and when that happens, all the petty, infantile, meaningless lower vibrational concerns that plague us will melt away, exposed by the perfect light of love. These flowery words are actually literal, because none of these life-experienced, programmed afflictions that stunt our spiritual growth can exist in this higher vibrational state. The following day brought more clarity to my understanding of my glyph message, and it is a great example of overlooking the obvious. I do, however, feel that this oversight was by design, as it brought a friend of mine into the picture and could enhance his understanding in a personal way. Kevin is a fella I have come to know over the course of a few years. His journey with the Sasquatch people is unique to him, as all are, but we still share many commonalities in our experiences. Our journeys and understanding are similar enough that we can usually get the gist of what the other is receiving, teaching-wise. Kevin and I were in conversation about my stone glyph message when out of the blue he said, "You know it's a circle, don't you?" That strong thought popped into his head at the exact moment he looked at the picture. From our dual experience, we both recognize that phenomenon as thought placement. To someone who has experienced it, thought placement differs from your own thoughts in a few ways. They tend to come out of left field, while circumstances and what may transpire immediately afterwards are dead giveaways for me. What Kevin was referring to with the circle comment were the stones representing 4 of my clan members. The 4 rocks appeared to form a circle. The circle represented my connection to them and to the collective connection of everything. The fact that I overlooked this obvious element of the message is interesting, seeing as the circle is a very important symbol to them, at least in context to their lessons with me. Once again, the circle symbolizes connection and oneness, which embraces the very core of the Forest Brothers' teachings. Interestingly enough, Kevin and I have had more than a few entertaining, thought-provoking conversations on the very subject of all one, all connected. And we don't agree on everything, which is good. Personally, I have not learnt much from agreeing with people. Respectful disagreement and the hammering out of one's points can give birth to precious nuggets of discovery. In regards to our perceived notions of right and wrong, there is none in the big picture, literal sense. There is no judgment, just experiences followed by decisions that guide us step by step along the long road home. That said, I do think there is a core truth, that being that everything in the universe is connected, and that the collective of everything makes up the all one. Try to imagine the universe as an infinite spider web, joined together by the strands of the web. Every thought, action, and reaction would send a vibratory message to every strand connected within it. That knowing shines a bright light on all the ludicrous reasons we invent to promote separation. Throughout the course of our conversation, both Kevin and I could feel the undeniable energy presence of a female forest person that he is connected to. She was obviously there to facilitate what transpired between us. Tonight, at the time of this writing, I felt her distinctive energy again when in conversation with Kevin, and she tapped on an outside wall of his home to confirm it. One thing is evident to me. My overlooking the circle aspect of the glyph was by design. What it did is put it in the forefront of Kevin's thoughts so that he can decide what it means for him. I personally have no doubts that this is exactly what transpired. What he comes up with is between him and his guides. Within days of our conversation, Kevin began to have his own circle glyph show up, as if to confirm that yes, it was something he needed to consider. What he comes up with will not necessarily be my meaning. That is the forest people's way when dealing with someone on an individual teaching basis. Some weeks earlier, we had engaged in a similar conversation about Y glyphs, and sure enough, they also began to appear for him. Needless to say, I was not surprised. A few weeks after my initial stone glyph discovery, I was checking out a neighboring campground. As I cruised slowly by one of the campsites, I noticed what appeared to be a walking stick leaning up against the site's picnic table. Something urged me to investigate further. What I saw was a second stone glyph message, placed with purpose on the long seat section of the table. The one walks with 4 message was virtually identical with one glaring exception. The walks with foot-shaped rock was nowhere to be seen. The fact that the identical message showed up in 2 different campgrounds is not as unusual as it might sound when examined in context to their close proximity to each other. Both places are smack dab in the heart of my clan's home. Of course, time, space, and distance offer no barriers to them, which makes my previous point virtually moot. It is also curious to note that unlike the initial message, there were no sections or levels on the seat portion of the table, like there were when the stones were placed on top. This is significant. To me, it says that there are no levels, no space, and no separation, and that our 3D interpretation of such is all about vibration and perception. Is heaven an actual place or a vibration? I would say that when I was gifted with the Love Zap, it felt like heaven, as I would imagine it to be. I stood there pondering the mystery of the missing foot rock when it hit me. That particular rock was replaced by the walking stick, but the one walks with 4 message was unchanged. I cannot express the gratitude I feel in being able to grow together from shared experiences with people like Kevin and others with an open mind and heart. The way the Force people lovingly interject themselves into many of these interactions is beyond magical and by no means a coincidence. A gentle or not so gentle nudging does not compromise free will, but will hopefully encourage some of us to do our own spiritual spade work. you. That was better than the plane.